you're not working on them, you're nuts.
Dude, we're at the Indiana Raceway.
Indianapolis Speedway.
Yes, correct, Mundo.
We're here, we're getting checked in with all the media.
Yes.
We got some guys here with some serious looking cameras.
Yeah, some real nice ones.
Nobody has a gorilla pod except for us. We're getting checked in with our media credenticiones, and then we're gonna head on in, and we're going to check out the air race. Going on a hangar tour. You know, I'm always about seeing some airplanes.
Dude, airplanes for the win.
Let's do it. Let's go do it.
Woo!
Got about 30 minutes left for this media walk, guys.
Thank you. So we met up with our friends from Red Bull. They're treating us great as always.
Yes.
Look at where we are right now. We're
planes, choppers. We're gonna go to the hangar. We're gonna see some awesome.
I'd like to say we're on the tarmac, but we're actually on the race track. This is like a NASCAR racetrack.
Yeah.
They're running up some planes over there. They're holding it down like an RC plane.
That's awesome.
So we're at the hangar area, as they call it. This is where all of the different competitors store their planes and work on them. Probably gonna see our buddy Kirby.
Kirby, how you doing again, friend?
How are you?
Great to see you again. So friends, we want to continue this on. If you guys remember, we had the honor of flying with Kirby and having one of the most memorable experiences of my life. I still go back to watching that video of going upside down through the mountain pass. And,
that's fun, huh?
It gets me, yeah. Well, we're going to be rooting him on here. So Kirby, how was your trip down here?
Yeah, it's great. I mean, I didn't fly my Piper Meridian down this time. I actually took the airline, so it wasn't quite as nice. But anyway, yeah, happy to be here, and you know, happy to get to race at Indianapolis. So we're excited about it. You know, we're going to do everything we can to win this race.
Number 10 Chambliss, you're cleared into the track. Smoke on. Chambliss, 1 minute 6.543 seconds. No penalties. You got about 3 minutes 10 seconds remaining.
All right, so we're in the thick of Red Bull Air Races Indianapolis. It's hopping right now. We just saw the our Red Bull Air Force friends jump in with some wingsuits.
It's amazing.
We saw the aerobatic helicopter, the only one in the world that can do aerobatics like that. It was incredible. We also saw some crazy paramotor aerobatics. Not only amazing aerobatics, but aerobatics in about like 10-mile-an-hour winds, which we, as you guys know, we flew paramotors, and that's a sketchy flight. Flying anything over a couple mile-an-hour wind for me is like scary as heck. So to see this guy fly like that in that amount of wind, incredible. So now we're over here. We're right in the thick of the air races. They got all kinds of crazy stuff going on. Check this out.
got to fly in your Edge 540T. What's this one here?
This is an Edge 540, but it's called a V3.
Okay.
So it's specifically designed for the Red Bull Air Race. And you know, as you can see, you're welcome to come in, but it's much more chopped down. You can see there's not a whole lot to it. Right now the seat is out of it. And yeah, it's pretty much, you know, pretty basic, just basic instruments. Once I go through that first start gate, I'm not looking inside the airplane anymore. I'm strictly looking outside of it.
Wow. Now you guys, I noticed that your wingtips are different from your previous two airplanes.
Yeah, and you'll see this one here too. It's super cut down. I mean, you know, there's just what we try to do is reduce the drag as much as you can. Basically, the only thing that's probably exactly or pretty much is the wing, and then the vertical or the horizontal stabilizer. That's about the only thing that's
even your tail is
your tail's totally different. Yeah. So also, you know, wheel fairings. I mean, the winglets, the cowling area, the cooling area. This one has a plenum on it for cooling. We try to reduce that cooling drag in there because, you know, you got to balance it out because you also have to be able to cool the engine. It's an air-cooled motor. Yeah. But we try to choke it down as much as we can.
So the idea is, by the time you're done with the race, it's really about at the peak of where it needs to be, and then you got to get down on the ground.
Warm, by then. So we're trying to get everything we can out of it, and yeah, you know, so the cooling drag definitely is a factor, and we try to reduce that.
With all your changes that you make to this, do you have to get in the plane and kind of refamiliarize yourself, you know, with the characteristics?
Yeah, it's a little bit different. You know, it's still pretty close to the other one as far as the way it flies, but the aileron setup is a little bit different. It's a little bit lighter, which I wouldn't normally care for in a display airplane, but since, you know, this is where I'm not trying to be super accurate, I'm just trying to get the wings level as I go through the gates, and then I want it to be pretty nimble, which this airplane is.
Now, they put some limitations on these airframes that you guys can't exceed. Sometimes people think go as fast as you can, but there's actually max G's you're allowed to hit. Yep. Is it max speed as well?
Yeah, just through the start gate, you know, so we've got to be 230 miles an hour through the start gate. It's a little bit different here because it's a standing start. We won't get up to that speed. Okay. I mean, we're only going through that start gate at about 140 knots, so that's what, about 155, 160 miles an hour. So, you know, because we don't have time to accelerate before we go right onto the track.
What's the max G's you're allowed to pull?
It'll be, so we can go, max is 11.9. If we go above 11.9, we're out. But they have us 10 G's, but we have to be back under 10 G's within 0.6 of a second. So it's kind of a spike G. And yeah, so you could say the G limit is 10 really, but you're allowed to spike above 10, but never above 11.9, as long as you're back below 10 within 0.6 of a second.
And that's usually that major turn that you have at the end. It's the highest speed where you
yeah, you're going fast and you pull back on the stick and you're wanting to make the airplane change directions fast. So you've always got to kind of balance it out there.
Now, when I got the opportunity to ride with you, I don't think we went above 5 G's. Is that correct?
Yeah, 5.5.
It was very easy on me. So think about what you saw me go through, and then double that +1, and that's what he goes through. And look how happy he is.
Yeah, for sure.
This is crazy.
You know, it's like anything. Our bodies are pretty good at adapting. You get used to it after a while, for sure.
So we got some crazy parkour BMX action going on. We're heading over to the grandstands right behind us here. We're gonna go up and check out some races. Just incredible the amount of energy here. It's absolutely insane. We got people photobombing over here. There they are. But yeah, tons of fun here at the Red Bull Air Races. We're gonna go check out these grandstands. We've already met a lot of flight testers. Shout out to everybody who made it out. Great seeing you. We just met Bennett and his dad. Mark. Killing it. Mark. Yeah, thanks you guys so much for coming up.
You think we can meet some more people?
Yeah, let's go. We're going to the grandstands right now. I'm sure there'll be a couple people there. Let's go see what we can find.
basically it helps us in the turns. It does induce a little bit of drag to the airframe in straight lines.
Okay.
So it actually hurts us a little bit in straight lines, but it'll turn it at the same G. Your radius will be smaller.
Okay.
So what it's doing is that when you're always throwing like without the winglets, if we just have the straight tips on here, even as dry as it is here, when we pull the G, you actually see us push the water out of the air. You'll see vapor trails off the wings. These stop it because as it starts, basically the
wingtip
wingtip vortice is, and some of it even goes in front, so you have to fly it again. So what this does is stop it.
Okay.
And that's what this was. So it stops that, and that creates a little bit more lift, but it's also creating a little bit more drag. So this one we figure without the winglets on this particular track, I would have to ask Paulo, our engineer, but I would say they're going to help us maybe, 0.3 of a second.
Wow.
Yeah.
And every design changes. I know on your other one that you do aerobatics, it kind of pulls back, it's carbon fiber.
Yeah. And everybody's got a different design, on their winglets and stuff. And, we all have aeronautical engineers. And, of course, we go along with the one that's on your team. And he says these are the best. So
that's what we go with. Well, 0.3 of a second doesn't sound like much, but that can be all the difference.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
It's incredible.
So, everybody else is doing the same thing. So, but I mean, if I were to put our standard tips on here, we believe that would cost us about 0.3 of a second on this track.
Now you have a straight leading edge on this, and that kind of gives you some different picture characteristics than some of the other planes, right?
There's only one that's not an edge here anymore.
Okay.
So that's Mika, and he's flying in the XS. It's a little bit, his airfoil is different. It's also, a super strong, super maneuverable airplane. But every other one here is an edge, so we all have the same wing.
Oh wow.
Now the winglets are all different because everybody has their own what they think is going to be the best. But basically the wings, the only one that's a little bit different, it's still an edge wing, but Mike Goulian, he has I used to own that airplane. Basically the only difference in his wing is there's 2.5 inches behind the spar, so it's a little bit longer in the chord.
Okay.
And what that does is it will allow that airplane also to turn inside of this one because he's generating more lift. He also gets a little bit more drag, but it's normally a plus. The downside for him is it's a little bit heavier than this wing, but he's a little guy, so that helps too.
So ideally, it's a compromise. You're balancing the pilot, the skills, but also one track you can have the edge on everybody. Another track, someone else can just because of the design layout.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they're basically the same. Like I said, all the wings, with the exception of Goulian, because he has 2.5 inches back here behind the spar. Other than that, it's the same airfoil. Because what they did is they took the 2-place wing and put it on a single-place airplane.
Oh, okay.
So that's all it is the wing we were flying behind us 2.5 inches more. And then the MXS, the one airplane that Mika is flying over there, that airplane is totally different. It's a different manufacturer, the wing's different, and I don't know all that much about the airplane.
It's been a whole day thing, and the event literally just started.
Yeah.
So the pre-qualifiers, the way it works is there's 2 different classes. There's the master class
And the Challenger.
and the Challenger. So think of it as kind of like the Challenger. Sorry, we got racing going on over here already.
It's loud.
Think of it as like the Challenger class is kind of like the minor leagues.
Yes.
And actually the planes themselves are actually owned by Red Bull, and they bring up aerobatic pilots through the ranks and people who want to try getting into Red Bull Air Races and potentially eventually getting some sponsors. They start out in the Challenger class.
And this guy, actually, the guy's racing in the master class right now, he started as a Challenger class.
Oh, really?
Yep.
So pretty cool. It's kind of like the minor leagues for air races. So if you're wondering how like somebody could get into this from the start, you'd start out as an aerobatic pilot doing displays, and then once you get good enough, you can get into the Challenger class, work your way up to the master class.
Yep.
So the master class, Challenger class qualifiers just happened,
right?
And the master class is starting right now.
Yep.
So So we got people like Kirby Chambliss, Sanka, some of the big names in the Red Bull Air races.
Yeah.
They're just out here killing it.
They're crushing it.
They're trying to get the top spot for tomorrow.
Yeah, this is qualifying, so they're trying to get the top time so they can get in the best pole position.
And actually, interesting fact, in the Challenger class, which just wrapped up, the person who took home first, or is qualified for first, is actually a woman.
Yes.
Pilot from France.
Yes.
What's her name?
I think it's Melanie Aspelis or something like
Melanie
that.
from France.
Yes, correct.
That's what we'll call her.
I can't remember her last name.
So that's super awesome. The only female the only female pilot
here
is qualified for first right now, which is pretty cool. So we're down here on the main flight line, right over here by the hangars.
Yep.
We're gonna go check out some races.
Let's go check them out.
Let's do it.
We're gonna bounce.
You know, it's normally aspirated. It's not turbocharged.
Yeah.
Yeah, right in here there's a fuel injector. So,
Oh, wow.
and they're taking the air down inside and mixing the fuel in. And
Yep. Wow, you really did plenum that sucker. So you're relying a lot on ram force.
So this is all a plenum. So if you were to run without the cowling on this one, you know, normally on any other airplane, you know, if you don't have a plenum, you run without the cowling, it'll overheat, believe it or not. You'd think it'd be cooler because there's no thing around it, but it doesn't push the air down between the cylinders. This one wouldn't matter. I mean, we get a lot of drag, but basically this is a cowling inside of a cowling. So the cowling can come over the top, but it's all sealed up, and it's designed to push the air the right ways through the cylinders to keep those cylinders cool.
And evenly cooled cylinders are crucial too, especially.
Yeah, because as you get hot, you know, believe it or not, the roundness goes away and they start to go oblique. I mean, just thousandths of an inch, you know, not like, you know, you could see it, but of course that's going to give you the optimum anyway too.
Typically on an air-cooled engine, what you'll see is something called baffles. And baffles will kind of come up and touch your cowling, so it kind of keeps the air from spilling where it shouldn't. This is actually driving the air down through to give nice cooling and efficient cooling. That's tight. I've never seen something like that.
Yeah, some of, you know, the plenums, yeah, I mean, it's a little bit of a hassle because now if he wants to get to the cylinders, he has to not only remove the cowling, but he has to remove the plenum.
If you guys have something catastrophic, you need to swap out an engine. Is this kind of like Indy cars where you can do that fairly quick? Or
they can do it overnight.
Wow.
So, you know, it can change this engine overnight for sure. But, I mean, if it's not like a 2-hour job, pop one in, pop one out, no.
Well, you got one of the most incredible people working on your airplanes, and I love how you love them. And it's really cool to see that these teams are family, and they work together, they trust each other, they rely on each other. But also the amount of, I guess, not speaking about things, you said, okay, he has it under control. It's out of your mind, so you can concentrate on the race.
Yeah,
That's a really...
He'll have the airplane ready when it's time for me to jump in it, so it'll be ready to go.
Awesome. Thank you, Kirby.
You bet. All right, guys, take care.
So Red Bull Air Races 2017 Indianapolis.
First experience, and it was an amazing experience.
It was crazy.
It was incredible. Learned a lot too.
Yeah, like obviously I knew it was gonna be cool.
Yeah.
But it was just like on a whole different level cool.
Yeah.
I mean, just like unbelievable flying. Japan took it home for the win.
Yeah.
Dude, Yoshi. Yeah, dude. He
Keep
crushed
this in mind, like it was the worst conditions you could possibly imagine, and he put the best time.
Yeah.
Hands down.
Track record. Unbelievable.
Well, yesterday in the press conference, they're like, yeah, we got some weather rolling in and some rain and stuff like that. And people are like, I don't know if we're going to be able to race. The race director came in first thing, he's like, yeah, we're going to fly. We're going to fly. Like, we don't come here to not fly, we're flying.
Yes, we are.
Now I got to admit and stuff, I was rooting for Kirby because yes, I am biased. I know we just became BFFs like only like a month ago. And I've had like 20 hugs with him. But you know, I was rooting for him, and he threw down hard. But there was that one gate that he clipped, and it just changed everything for him. But he's still an awesome guy.
Yeah, he is. The competition was amazing.
Fierce.
Some of the craziest, best flying I've ever seen of any kind. Not only the planes, but also some crazy helicopters. And there was all kinds of crazy shows going on the side too. So Red Bull Air Races 2017, that is a wrap. This is actually the finals. So Japan took it home for the win. So congratulations, everybody. It was a great competition. If you want to find more about Red Bull Air Races or just Red Bull in general, check the links below. The Red Bull Air Races is something that goes on every year, and it's worldwide. So it doesn't matter where you live, there's probably going to be one going on near you.
It's an 8-race situation.
Yes, so pretty crazy.
And check out their aviation content too. They have a channel filled with aviation content. It is amazing what they do. The production value, but also the things that they pull off with aircraft, you know, skydivers, and sometimes both of them in the same setting.
The athletes are unbelievable.
Yeah, they really are.
So check links below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and thanks Red Bull for having us here, because this was
dude, they crushed
pretty
it.
amazing.
And big thank you to you guys here. We wouldn't have these great opportunities if it wasn't for your support, wasn't for your feedback, and wasn't for you getting friends into the hobby. So keep up the great work. You guys have really blessed us in powerful ways.
Thank you so much, guys, and until the next one, we'll see you later.